A string of maintenance-related incidents have impacted Disney's parks around the country, from falling industrial light posts used for parade lighting, speakers falling in guest walkways, collapsing ceilings in the Land Pavilion, numerous power outages, and a slew of incidents involving leaking sewage. There's been no shortage of what are now infamous events in the recent history of Disneyland and Walt Disney World that have affected the guest experience, and in some cases, put them in direct danger. Now, after a recent fire behind World Showcase's France Pavilion at EPCOT, the broader internet has taken notice, and many are questioning just what exactly is going on at Disney's theme parks. Let's talk about a large fire involving walk-in coolers and discuss just how something like this could have possibly happened here on That Park Place.
So there's a story that broke a couple of days ago that we did not cover on the channel just yet. It is a story that could be sensational, just reading it how it is. I don't know if you guys out there in the chat are aware of this. If you were following me on Twitter, you weren't aware of it, but there was a big old fire. Whoa. There it is. There was a big old fire out at EPCOT. This breaking massive fire breaks out at EPCOT at France Pavilion in Walt Disney World, adding to parks mounting safety concerns. March 22nd. That's 3 days ago as of the recording of this video. Why did we say it was a massive fire? Well, because it looked pretty massive. Black smoke billowing over the skyline could be seen from all over the park and outside of the park. One man's massive is another man's little campfire here.
Well, I mean, we were kind of going back and forth with people on semantics on that. I used the term massive because you could see the flames. It was backstage and you could see the flames. So to me, that's a massive fire. Plus look at all that smoke. That is not a small little blade. They're just like, oh, it was just a little spark. It was just a little spark on a cooler. No, a walk-in cooler caught on fire and billowed, tar black smoke into the sky. And you could see the flames rising from the backstage area. That is not a small fire.
Right. If you can see it from half a mile away, that's a pretty big fire. Of course, massive. We're not talking about an entire downtown district or something like that. But we'll leave it to the audience to determine. Vash?
I've got a lot of video from around the interwebs regarding this, and I think people can see the scale of the fire in some of these shots here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for just 1 second. You can see right here, this is from across World Showcase. You can see people kind of dancing, having a good time there, but the fires, I mean, you can very well see it. Also, too, that's not the only place where you could see something like this. From another park, like the parking lot of Disney's Hollywood Studios, you could also see this fire. So this idea that it's like, oh, it's a small thing, don't worry, it's just a little fire.
It's just a little fire.
No, that's not that way at all. And I think this is why. Yes, I think this is why it made as many headlines as it did, because it was so very visible. In fact, the performers got into the act there a little bit as this was going on. They decided to incorporate this into the set a little bit, which was pretty amusing. France is on fire. France is on fire. So this was a big deal, and Jonas, we have a little bit more information about this that maybe people don't.
Yeah. There's we have not shared that information yet, but we're probably safe to at this point. We got dinged by someone on social media that says that it's inappropriate to call it massive. We weren't the only outlet to call it massive. I'd say massive. We're in the rational segment of people who say that a plume of smoke that large is massive. Also, the mounting safety concerns. We've had a string of stories over the years, including lighting stanchions falling on guests. So yeah, I would say the safety concerns issue, not a small one, although Disney needs to be doing their best to stay away from issues like this. So as we understand it here, we'll just go to the story. Massive fire broke out this evening, that being the 22nd, behind Epcot's France Pavilion, sending thick black smoke billowing into the sky and rattling guests through the park. The smoke could be clearly seen from various vantage points around Epcot, with sirens blaring as fire trucks raced to the scene. Eyewitness photos captured smoke rising from the area near Remy's Ratatouille adventure. Those within the France pavilions described an unsettling scene as the fire appeared to rage on in the backstage area. According to an update from Blog Mickey at 7:35, fire has been extinguished. Yes, it was extinguished pretty quickly. And according to a veteran firefighter who spoke with that park place, the foam insulation used in many walk-in coolers is highly flammable and, if ignited, could produce the same kind of black smoke seen in Epcot during this incident. While we have no confirmation that this was the kind of equipment used backstage at Epcot, our source described this kind of insulation as basically solid gasoline. He stated that these kinds of fires are typically difficult to fight and send up smoke burning like burning oil. Additionally, since the compressor units are usually found on top, a small fire from a burnt up motor or compressor might not have been noticed for some time. There are also no fire alarms required in spaces that are not permanently inhabited or aren't public areas. We'll continue to reach out to sources. We do have an update on this. The compressor was not on the top of the unit, which of course implies that it was on the side of the unit. Vash, you may have more details as well.
Yes, from what I understand, speaking with our sources, I was trying to determine. Okay, so what would be the likely ignition point for something like this, especially for a walk-in cooler of this type? And I was told that it was definitely with the compressor, and specifically the belt for the motor. That usually those, if not serviced regularly, they can wear out and they can break. And that allows the motor to run freely, and that's where you get excess heat, and that's where you get perhaps something like this. Again, some of this is speculation for sure, but I was trying to pinpoint exactly, like, okay, if maintenance could have prevented this, what are we kind of looking for? And apparently, no matter my line of inquiry, it always seemed to come back to the compressor. And yeah, with foam insulation like that, definitely light it up for sure. Go ahead, Marvin.
Do we know how old the cooler was, Vash? Did we get any confirmation on that?
No, I did not. That's an interesting question, because these looked like they were additional units. And I don't know when they were specifically added to the backstage of the France Pavilion. I'm not sure if the festivals would have had these things added. I'm unsure on how old these were, but they were separate. They were separate units, separate from any structures. So yes, they were additions. Right. I just don't know when.
But it sounds like, obviously we don't have confirmation on this, but it sounds like, if they were not upkeeping the compressor, that's exactly what would happen here. And it's just the latest in a string of safety related issues that have hit Epcot, specifically Epcot, because of aging infrastructure, because of things that needed to be changed out that weren't, sewage leaks that lead to ceiling collapses over guest walkways. It's a miracle that nobody has been hurt in Epcot yet.
I think so. And also too, if your compressor's going down, right? What about the food quality standards within something like a walk-in cooler? Why weren't maybe people alerted to this? The change in temperature should have alerted somebody that something might have gone wrong here. Some of it, yes, this is a little bit of speculation, but there are preventative measures to prevent this from happening. This is why it's such a rare occurrence. At least it was at Disney. And yet we're seeing instances like this regarding a myriad of things at this specific theme park within Disney's Parks Division.
Yep. It is people were like trying to scoff at us when we said that this is the latest in a string of incidents at Epcot. They're like, oh, what? Some crap. We're like, no, the ceiling collapsing over guest walkways. These things are provable. They've happened. We have photos of them. It's the pixie duster mentality of, oh, everything's fine. Everything's magical. Oh, Epcot, it's all brand new. No, it's not. It's rotting from the inside out.
Yes, absolutely. And this specific area has had problems in the past. I see that follow Bradley's Fun, Ron, is in the chat right there, and has reminded me that, a construction worker in this specific area setting up Remy's Ratatouille Adventure back in the day actually lost their lives in this specific area right here. Now we're a bit removed from that, sure, but the sewage leak problems that we've seen on multiple resort properties now, including Epcot, the ceiling collapse that you mentioned there, Marvin, and now this fire right here, it all... we've seen something like this, but it's associated with an era that we would never like to revisit, that being the Paul Pressler era. And yet these things are happening once again, and we know what happens later on.
Right. The easiest solution for Disney in this case is to actually maintain their parks. We're seeing a lot of indications that they are currently investing more of their capital into actually maintaining these parks and in trying to improve things. Some of those are going towards things that are a little bit more difficult to spot, and some of those are going towards things that are very obvious. This is something where the walk-in cooler behind the whatever the name of the nice restaurant in France is, I forget the name of it. That is probably not the highest on the priority list, unless it is breaking, or in this case, on fire. So this is something where these parks have been abused in order to all of those funds have been diverted in order to pay for ridiculous things like Disney Plus, or the massive debt that was taken on in order to fund the Fox purchase. And the parks have since 1955, they've been the workhorse of the company in order to fund the expansion of the company. And it's fine unless they make more and more investments into unprofitable things like Disney Plus or the Fox venture, which has really not paid off for them, other than maybe 40 Emmy awards, but those don't really pay the bills. In fact, you could argue that you have to pay a lot of money in order to convince the voters to give you those Emmy awards. I think that this is something where Disney is going to respond to this and fix everything back there. And I fully expect that we will not see another fire like this, at least not in this area of the park or anything like that. The ride was evacuated, even though the fire was not inside the same structure as the ride. And Disney wants to get things back to normal as soon as possible. So if Disney is watching this, hey, maybe you should maintain your park so this shouldn't happen. That's kind of obvious at this point, though. I'm not personally scared that Disney is going to catch fire while I'm there, but the more they ignore maintenance, the more incidents like this will happen. Anybody have anything else they want to add before we move on to happier, less flammable stories?
Power outages at Magic Kingdom, sewage leaks, rides having unusual amounts of downtime. We've seen Disneyland Resort now covered in walls because of deferred maintenance on that aging legacy property. Come on, guys. We can do better than this. Preventative maintenance is the name of the game here, and hopefully Disney gets back to that.
That's true. That's true. There are ways to maintain and do constant maintenance on things. There used to be a legend that Imagineers would go and expect they would take rides off the track and repaint them every night to make sure that all the wear and tear was gone by the time the park guests got there in the morning. I don't think that. I wonder if that was ever true. I think maybe a little bit like that. The lemmings running off of the turntable kind of thing there. I think that maybe there was a little fudgery going on in that.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.